Welcome once again to our great segment, Better Know a Candidate. There we
Did
go.
a few adjustments there.
Yeah, and
Made it more our own.
And normally there's three of us that do all the the cross referencing here, but I guess Chris Cano is off to Buffalo.
It's a busy time of year here with everything that's going on politically.
Absolutely.
And you're doing a great job of keeping on top of everything, but Cano apparently has trips that he has to go on and drives and work he has to do, so he can't be here.
We couldn't do this until after qualifying week was over. It was going to end up. I mean, that was such a moving target. No. But we have a great lineup of candidates throughout the state right now. And if we focus a little bit here on Pinellas County, I would like to introduce you to Representative Wengay Newt, formerly of the county commission over there in Pinellas County, who has had a proven record in the House legislature. Took off for a while to check out some other endeavors and is coming back. Now, has your district changed at all? Did they redistrict it?
Yes, the district has changed a lot of
all over Florida.
It's a new House District 62. So, you have people talking about their incumbents and they're running for re-election. I don't know where, because no one has voted for any of us in over 7% of the district, the new district. Because the only thing that stayed the same was South St. Pete. If you know anything about South St. Pete, when I was formerly in the House, I was the representative over District 70. And 70 encompasses was Pinellas, Hillsborough by virtue of Ruskin. It had Ribonia, Palmetto, Bradenton, which gave me Manatee, and it went all the way down to Fruitville Road to Newtown, which gave me Sarasota. So it was 4 counties. I had 4 delegations, 4 county commissions, 4 city councils, and 4 number ones. So no matter who I voted, no matter how I voted, somebody was pissed off. So,
there was a long tentacle going all the way down.
Yes, it was. Now 62.
All right, so I guess first off, we want to know, so the folks out there know, where do you have to live to be able to vote for you?
You have to be in either South St. Pete and parts of Gulfport. They got a sliver of Riverview, which picks up at Big Bend Road and goes from 75 east to 301. Then it goes back up to 75. Then it goes into Gibsonton. It's got some West Brandon area up there, just below the Crosstown Expressway. And then it's got South Tampa, which is Progress Village and some of Riverview also. So now it's just 2 counties. It's Hillsborough and Pinellas. But over 70% of the district resides in Pinellas County. I mean, in Hillsborough County now. It used to be you can win it in St. Pete without even leaving, but not anymore.
Yeah. I think what Pinellas County is almost the most concentrated county in the state, next to Miami-Dade.
Yes. Well, because of the census and people moving around, you have to reshuffle, and that's what they came up with.
And first off, we missed you this last session. We really, really did. I mean, that culture war is just out of control. And the question is, I know that right now the Dems are in the minority, at least for now. And what would you do to change that culture war and the way that things are currently going on over in the legislature right now?
Well, first and foremost, the reason I even considered coming back was after I had a mayoral campaign that didn't go the way I chose, but God didn't say no. He said, not now. And sometimes when you're flying on a plane, the nearest exit is behind you. So when I filed a run for the seat, House at 62, in September 21st, 2021, my representative had filed a run for Congress after 1 year in the legislature. So it wasn't anybody in the race but me. I guess since then, my representative realized that they weren't going to make it out of a Democratic primary. So they're coming back to this new district saying they didn't comment and they're running for re-election. I don't know how that works, but that's what's going on. But what I bring back is, like I said, 8 years on the St. Petersburg City Council, 4 years in the legislature. So that's 12 years of governance and local government experience. I was a neighborhood president for 5 years. So I was in the neighborhood before I even ran for city council. And before that, I was in corporate America with Xerox Corporation for 18 years. So you got corporate American Express, your neighborhood president, went through Kona leadership with the neighborhoods, got on city council for 8 years, 2 terms, and then ran for the legislature where I was there 4 years. So I have a wealth of knowledge of the whole vast of everything from capital projects to bills and how to get things done. And through stability and the working relationships that I built in the legislature, I'm able to bring home resources and get things done. And that's what I'm going to use when I go back up there. If you seen what was going on, Gary, up there, it was a lot of immaturity. I think it was. I mean, I heard it was babies at committee meetings on people's hips and presenting bills. And I was like, what in the world? But, some way along the line, the luster of being a state representative, representing 67 counties, 412 cities, and 22 million people, this was lost because, the last special session, you saw the way they had got mad because they were in the minority. We've been in the minority for 20 years, and they went up and desecrated the seal, shutting down the Capitol for, 45 minutes to an hour, but only putting out the inevitable, because when they came back in, the vote was still 78-42. So I'm looking to go back myself, and I don't know if Representative Anton is also running to go back to try to bring some stability there and some leadership, and try to continue to get things done and moving along, because that same thing you hear everybody crying about, it's always been there. It's nothing new. People just look back to it, so they do other stuff. So
I appreciated the concept of the sit-in on top of the seal, but I got angry at the fact that it was even necessary. That kind of drama, it does not make bills go forward. It only maintains the status quo if you can.
Yes.
And that is what I'd like to see, some changes, something moving forward, as opposed to going back and picking out topics from the GOP's greatest hits and hitting it even harder than everybody else.
Well, like I said, it's you hit it around the head. It's about stability and getting things done. People send us up there to be their voice. If you're just going to go up there and throw rocks and be disruptive, I mean, that's probably sounds good. But when you talk about $111 billion budget and you represent some of the most socioeconomically challenged, disadvantaged areas, and you can't bring home any resources, who are you hurting? They say they're hurting the governor. I don't see how that works. I don't think he's hurting. That's their slogan. I'm the governor, and the blame game, which is asinine. Think about it. We get 7 bills. We get 7 bullets to go up there and try to do something about what you're saying that's going on back here in this district, to try to offer some kind of remedy, and we get unlimited amendments. But you hear people talk about affordable housing and rent increases and high insurance. But I tell you, just look at the bills that they file. I look at your bills as your values, like your budget's your value. If you like to play golf and cruise and tour and go on vacations, when most of your money is going to be in that corner. So most of the stuff is not reflective of the people that's back home suffering. And that's what I got a major problem with, because it's easy to talk that talk, but what I love most about the legislature is all of your votes are documented. Everything you do is documented. And the Florida Channel has it on video. You want to go look at that too. So,
they did the rules and laws for the new medical cannabis program by going into a special session in the middle of June, which I'm certain everybody was loved to do when they had to get that done. And they had to have more special sessions this time, but to actually get to the stuff that they were intending on doing during the session, they could never get to, because they had so many other topics they brought on that were not impactful to the populace.
Well, you saw they had to use structured debate. And structured debate is where each side gets an hour to get up and do what they do. The reason for that is because what you saw going on, all of the the partisan politics. It was you had the last time we used structured debates was sanctuary cities. I don't know if you were there during that time, but we had a disruption, but it was up in the gallery. We always had disruptions up in the gallery, sometimes out in front of the house door, and sometimes out on the steps outside the house, but never on the floor. That floor has always been sacred. But you do have a debate where you can speak your point. You can put statutes on the record for later lawsuits later, and you also have this little button off to the left there, and the right there that says no. You can push that too, But like I said, none of that's going on. It's just more And that's why it took so long to get to what they needed to. Had to go back and keep doing the stuff, and to make the argument about they and the majority, they always been there 20 years. But 20 years ago, we did the same thing to them. We just got to have a plan, but you have to have a working relationship. I mean, my last session, okay, with that same population, I think it was 47 members that Leader McGee had, Democratic members, and it was 73 to 47. They had said the majority, but I was able to get 3 bills through both chambers onto the governor's desk, signed into law as a Democrat on the back row. 3 bills. And I was able to bring home over $8 million in resources, necessary resources, for my district, and survive a $1 billion Republican veto pen. But that's just having relationships and building bridges. That's all you got to do. I mean, at 2:00 in the morning, I'm at one of the apartment or the condo or wherever their section house it is. We're smoking Oliva cigars, we're drinking their bourbon, and burning pizza boxes. That's something I don't normally do, but that's where you kind of build some relationships that you can't get it during the committee, and you can't get it on the floor. Those are 2 adversarial places. Those are the trenches where you're dug in at, and you're fighting whatever battle you're doing. But if I can go listen to you while we're burning pizza boxes and drinking bourbon and hear what's important to you and why you're up there, you can see where we can work together, and you build out from that. Over 90% of the time, that board goes all green, which means everybody's voting together. So this thing about he's voting Republicans or he's voting with Democrats is asinine. I mean, I don't get it, and that's what you got right now. That's why you saw so much of what's going on. Dogs running the Capitol. It's a mess.
We see that a lot with to a lot of people in our this red versus blue debate anymore. This isn't a this is something that both sides pretty much want. The problem is with the cannabis industry, and really like what I see conservatives wanting for the cannabis industry to kind of become is really big cannabis, and really to have the control over the cannabis industry the way Florida has it now. Corporate cannabis, there's only a few operators, right? You can, right? These operators control cannabis, right? They control how much you can get, right? And and there's a lot of regulations and a high price point. Do you see how do you see cannabis changing in our future? Do you see I can tell you this, it's going to be legalized, right? Like how is it going to be regulated though? How do you see that happening?
Well, I can tell you guys had a real big champion, and Gary knows it, and Governor DeSantis. I'm not tooting his horn, but then it beat. He came in and made us. I think that was the first thing out the box. And one of the sessions before I left was that you will let these people smoke, because the amendment says shall not be smoked in public places. And I guess my colleagues interpreted that among implementing that constitutional amendment. They interpret that as oils and vapor, So right out the bat, he said, either you let them smoke, I'm gonna withdraw my objection. And right away they got the smoke. So I'm saying you got a huge champion in that. The problem
he did do that, and he even and I was actually really because we were recently in our the last show we did. I know the times are all different now. I don't know when this is going to actually run, but we talked to a gentleman that's running for Congress, right? Minardi.
Oh, Mike, right? Yeah,
and he's running as a Republican, and he's
state representative.
State representative. He's running as a Republican. And he wants DeSantis's graces, but and you can say that he did let us smoke, and at the same time I was really proud of him because he paid attention. He focused on the fact that there's a cartel over I remember the conference that you're talking about, and he said that there's a cartel over the industry here. But then on a different note, he recently came out saying that, cannabis, there's going to be no progress with cannabis because of the putrid order. So because cannabis smells bad, you're not going to get any less regulations,
Well, another problem you had too, I read this morning, where people, even with medical marijuana scripts, licenses, are still getting arrested. You know, we put in the wagon before the horse, because even now, if you at work, you can have a license for all that. But if you fall and get hurt, the very first thing the insurance company gonna want is a bottle of your blood. Now, if there's anything in that blood not supposed to be there, they're not paying. And see, we're not looking at that. I mean, you hurt, you got zero income, they're not paying your medical bills, and you got a family you got to feed. All when you didn't do anything wrong is what we, by law, allowed you to do. So we got to make sure that we are putting protections in place for the people that want this. They want recreation, but they don't realize the chaos that's going to cause as it pertains to the insurance industry. They really ain't going to be, they are, I mean, look, they don't want to pay these claims as it is. So you start having problems.
It would help if the chief financial officer actually had insurance meetings.
I like that. Gary actually was, as you probably know, Gary's done a lot of work with employee protections, right? Or
Absolutely.
At least trying to get employee protections in there. And I particularly, I just want to stop and say that I praise your view. Like, I think, honestly, we need to perfect our medical system before we really go and legalize. There's like you hear a lot of horror stories about legalization happening in states like California, and then patients or elections end up suffering. The price goes up. They can't get what they need to treat their condition anymore, and life becomes harder for them.
But those are the people that's the vehicle they use to get to that recreation. Patients I mean, if you remember, also was in the session I was leaving, they were trying to reduce the amount of THC. And,
what the hell?
And that died because people said they need the full effect of that to try to help them with their medical condition. You know, and I get it. But what I'm worried about is I don't want to, create a situation where we have people losing everything because we allowed them to smoke. The biggest thing people saying, recreation, you can do that, but there's no laws to protect you when they pull. I mean, they got some training going on. That's why they call it now. It's under the influence. Under the influence is a broad scope. It's a big umbrella. It could be medical. It could be marijuana. It could be alcohol. It could be drugs. I mean, under the influence is huge, and that covers a lot. But no one has really thought about none of that. It's just let us smoke. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, now, here's a concern that I have, and that is the fact that we have first responders, policemen, firemen, who I know you have a soft spot in your heart for, but in a family way, as a matter of fact.
Yes.
And the EMTs and stuff. And we have had over the last few years first responders who have committed suicide or have shot their families because they're dealing with severe PTSD because they can't unsee the things they've seen.
Correct.
And I go to Chronister, I go to Gualteria, and those folks there, and I ask them, what can we do to help these people with their PTSD? Because what you're doing right now is not working. They're saying, well, they have yoga classes and they have acupuncture. I say, great. Now that you've bent them and stuck them in needles, PTSD, why not give them a chance to use cannabis when they're off duty and not on call?
See, that's another.
And be able to maintain their.
That's a perfect one. I got endorsed today by FOP, which is
fantastic.
I just got that endorsement. And I'm telling you, you're exactly right. But if they catch them with anything, I mean, in a traffic accident or shooting, they got anything in their blood, they're going to say that's what made them do it. It's a nightmare. That's what I'm trying to say. We're putting the cart before the horse, and we're not really making sure we get all it's like having you want the houses there, but you want to put no road there until after we get the houses. So what are they going to drive on? You know what I'm saying?
We're coming up to the 30 second mark. I want to make sure you get a moment to look on the camera, tell people how they can find you and how they can support you.
And the main parts of your platform.
Yes. I want to thank everybody. I'm Wengay Newt, as I stated before. I'm the only one in this district, in this race that was born and raised in the district. I have 8 years on the city council, so I have local government experience, 4 years in the legislature, 12 years total of government experience. I'm the only one that's a homeowner in this race. I'm also the only one that's been married to my soulmate, Melissa Newton. Next one will be 32 years of marital bliss, black love, and that's something you can clap to. with enough experience, enough stability to be able to go up there with the relationships and bridges that I built to continue moving our state forward and bring home much needed resources. Because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. You got to be able to work with the people that they sing it to work with. And I'm looking forward to your vote by mail or on August 23rd. You can go to newthd62.com. That's NEWT, H is in house, D is in district, 62.com. And you can see more about my platform. You can also call me if you want. My phone number is 727-619-6398. And I really thank Gary and Carlos for having me on. They're talking about some great issues. Medical cannabis and recreational cannabis is an option to help with a lot of things that we have going on in the state. But at the same time, we got to make sure we protect our constituencies from these laws that's going to end up putting them in cages.
Yeah, and we want to see social equity, which is something that's going on around the country, but it really isn't happening here in Florida yet. We really don't have any minority presence in the cannabis industry. We give it to a bunch of corporations. The small businessman has never been able to get in. And we're hoping to see, especially in Pinellas County, where there's so much opportunity for entrepreneurs, to be able to get a piece of this industry, especially if it's doing good and taking care of people's medical needs.
Well, again, when I get back to Tallahassee, we'll definitely be on to that. Like you say, I'm fully abreast in it, and I know the players and the ones that are willing to work to get just that done. So,
yeah, I remember when you went when you had that tour, you really enjoyed that.
Thank you, Rep Newton. We got to go.
All right.